church dito no sa Philippines. In fact, maybe we will write an article one time. What happened to the high school boys in Santa Ana? They were high school boys. Basically, just high school boys. Nagsimula doon sa 1908, 1912, 1911. And I think it will be... So, this started with ideology, okay? And I found out doon sa research doon yung ating what happened sa Malolos, no? Brother Manalo. Sa Mrs. Okay. Okay. So the three important points emerge with this history. God's glory, not our salvation. Perfection is concerned with God's glory, not our salvation. So what is the purpose of or the mission of the church, for example? What is really the ultimate mission of the church? God's glorification, isn't it? That God's name will be glorified. But then there is one Catholic theologian would say, God's name will only be glorified if men's lives are sanctified. The sanctification of men would be the glorification of God. So that means, if the ultimate purpose is to give God glory or God's name, but then it has to be done through also the sanctification of men. Love, not legalism. Perfection concerned with motives, not legalistically divine external conduct. Allowance for mistakes, ignorance, errors, and human freedom. You know, this is a history of the Protestantism on this. External social focus, not internal focus. Perfection became basis of seeking greater justice and righteousness in society. Let us look at some examples. You know, Arminius, possibility of victory over sin. Romans 7 as convicted but unconverted men. This is Arminian. Earlier we said there is that Arianism, but in the Arminianism. Calvinism viewed this chapter as a description of the converted Christian forever facing defeat in this life from the completely depraved human nature. That is why minsan sasabihin natin talagang hindi pwede kasi we are totally deprived. Okay ba tayo dyan? Pastor Relioma? Yung total depravity? Okay. Kasi si Dr. Relioma ang ating systematic theologian eh.
Tulip yan. Pag retrograde tayo, baptist na tayo. Tulip yan. Total depravity.
So, baptist na tayo. Kung talagang total depravity.
Marred. Kaya Ellen White is marred only.
Yeah, it's parang distorted. Distorted. Kaya nga, may discussion doon sa what is really the image of God. The image of God dito sa atin. Ano ba talaga? When we fell into sin, talagang wala na ba talaga? Totally deprived na ba tayo? And then Ellen White was marred by, okay? So Arminian tradition allowed for, though they did not insist on some kind of full victory over sin in this life, show that it was not viewed as necessary to salvation or to the assurance of salvation. Okay? So it seems that was perfectionism. It was not necessary in fact for them. Wesley and Methodism, of course Ellen White was coming from this tradition, so treatises and some sermons on perfection, including a plain account of Christian perfection and thoughts on Christian perfection. Wesley's holiness tradition with a belief in victory over sin or perfection. Parang nag-extreme na rin ba? Okay, ating history, of course, we had some kind of holiness tradition. Hindi ba? May mga naglalakad pa nga. And that was also a big danger. Ellen White, raised as a Methodist, and has obvious familiarity with this tradition. Ay sabi na nga ni Dr. Relioma kanina, on Trinity. Ellen White has that also. Although she was not she was vague until 1888. So, that the basis of salvation or the assurance of salvation. This was something beyond salvation for the glory of God. This is Wesley's. Differed from Ellen White as he viewed it as an instantaneous event. No, hindi ba yung Ellen White sabi, daily. Yung daily, we have to die daily. Hindi yung once saved, always saved, di ba? But you have to have that relationship with Christ daily. So, which put person beyond sinning, though he never claimed it for himself. So kay Wesley, sabi, okay, kung may second blessing ka na, I think I've heard, Dr. Leo, your tradition was, or your background was also in Methodism, isn't it? Okay, so is this true?
Yes.
Yeah, when you receive the second blessings, wala ka na. You will be beyond sinning. But then Ellen White differs this from this also. So is it possible, tayo mga Adventist ngayon, is it possible at this lifetime to be really beyond sinning? Or maybe, is it possible to come to a point when you don't need the blood of Christ anymore for your salvation? No. We still need it until glorification. But in this case, with Methodism, it seems that, okay, you have received the blessing, but then Wesley did not also claim for his own. Ellen White would have viewed it as a process over time. And that is why, doon sa Christ Object Lessons, you have first the blade, the seed, the blade, and on and on. Yung tinatawag nilang maturity. Is the corn mature even if it doesn't have any flowers yet? Yeah, yung discussion of maturity. So, it's a process, and that is in this life, we would never be beyond the possibility of sinning. So tayo mga kapatid, minsan may mga tendencies kasi tayo, and I think we will discuss that also during the hour of worship, na parang ako ay okay na, kayo wala pa, and this has caused a problem. Kasi yung mga sabi nating naka-advance na at saka tinitingnan nila yung parang nandyan pa sa lower level ay maski in everything. Holier, no? Maski in everything, like even in vegetarianism, on this. Ang iba kasi ay struggling pa lang. And we are all here, but then we would like to make ourselves as the standard. We need the Lord also if we will be in that stage, because we will never be beyond the possibility of sinning. We will, as long as we live, and this is in mind. But she and Wesley would agree on perfection not being the basis of salvation, and focus of being perfection in love. Okay, so what is Christian perfection? For Wesley, the loving God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength. This implies that no wrong temper, none contrary to love, remains in the soul, and that all the thoughts, words, and actions are governed by pure love. In fact, you had your from the Baptist seminar, huh? So what did they do to that? So they told you also that you Seventh-day Adventists, how many you have to keep? Okay, the same. Yeah. We had a person now, or we had a student who we sent to Thailand with the ATC, Association of Theological Schools in Southeast Asia. And he was derided in the army, say, kayo, ang kailangan yung gagawin ay 10 utos pa. Kami, 2 lang. Love God and love your neighbor. So this is the danger of that extreme. Wesley thought on Christ's perfection in, so everywhere he said that perfection is nothing higher and nothing lower than this. The pure love of God and man. The loving God with all our heart and soul and our neighbor as ourselves. It is love governing the heart and life, running through all our tempers, words, and actions. And of course, seems to be very big, you see, and that is why it has a danger of antinomianism. So, okay, Wesley's warnings about perfection: beware pride and self-centeredness, that's external, again, perfectionism, internal focus and narcissism, enthusiasm and fanaticism, false visions, dreams, and all. Antinomianism, making void any part of the law. Okay, this is you have to beware. God has adapted every point of the moral law and crafted it into the law of love. Beware of sins of omission. Focus on external versus internal. Above all, be aware of schism of making a rent in the church of Christ. Beware of divisive spirit. I think this is Wesley. So, some. And of course, from this, there are, at least this is in America, we have this Charles Finney as Oberlin College, Oberlin Perfectionism, contemporary with Ellen White, characterized by three things. So during the time of Ellen White, purpose of God's glory, but not obtaining salvation. Okay, the purpose of being perfect in Christ is God will be glorified. That and motives of love, not external standards. Okay, again, if you go back to the rich young ruler, he was perfect, isn't it? Everything he has done. But then Ellen White said, or Christ said, thou lack something, and showed up. And Ellen White, when I was studying this a long time ago, I said, what was really lacking? You know, because the rich young ruler was perfect. In fact, he was probably the best candidate to be a husband. Rich young ruler. But then Ellen White said, you lack something. And if you go to Christ's object lesson, said, what was really lacking? It was the lack of love of God in the soul. Okay, motives outwardly focused in helping others and society. And that is why, during this time, in fact, these thinkers in the United States, these were the ones who did on anti-slavery, anti-alcohol, educating women and even blacks. And Oberlin College was the first one to adopt even black women. And so that was more of para bang social concerns. So very external. But of course, it should have been coming from the love of men. Christianity requires that we should do neither more nor less than the law of God prescribes. It is true that the gospel does not require perfection as the condition of salvation, but no part of the obligation of the law is discharged. The gospel holds those who are under it to the same holiness as those who are under the law. Of course, in fact, Galatians 2:20, I think we shall do that in our discussion. Okay? I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live yet not I, but Christ liveth now in me. Okay? Finney, and I am to show what Christian perfection is. And what is the duty actually required in the text? It is a perfect obedience to the law. The law of God requires perfect, disinterested, impartial benevolence, love of God and love to our neighbor. It requires that we should be actuated by the same feeling and to act on the same principles that God acts upon, to leave self out of the Christian. That means the greatest problem basically is, a self. Selflessness. Okay, maybe we can just have this as an example. Oberlin College, as I have mentioned, and they made history in America by going into this reformations, external. Okay, perfection in holiness implies full and perfect discharge of our entire duty of all existing obligations in respect to God and all other beings. It is perfect obedience to the moral law. It is loving the Lord our God with all our heart and with all our soul and with all our strength and our neighbor as ourselves. That is the basic principle. It implies the entire absence of selfishness and the perpetual presence and all-pervading influence of the pure and perfect love. Because love is the fulfilling of the law. So, it is love and relationship with others. Ellen White, she differed with the other thinkers on some important points in relation to the perfection, such as timing, knowledge, and role of human choice and effort. But she agreed on three central points: emphasis on God's glory rather than salvation, on love rather than external legality, and an external other focus rather than self-focus. So we need to sing the song, others, Lord, yes, others. This is my mode to be. That is why we are here. Okay. When I was at Mountain View College, I said, the focus seems to be a little bit joy. Yeah? Jesus first, others next, and then you last. But it seems that you cannot also give to others if you don't have. So I parang revised it a little bit. Jesus first, you next, and others. Okay ba yan na principle? when I told my wife about that, sabi niya, parang selfish yan. But actually, Abraham was what? God said to Abraham, I will bless you so that you can be what? A blessing to others. Because you'll not... So, tayo, ultimately, ano lang tayo. So, Bisaya pa, sandayon lang ba? Daluyan lang. Okay, daluyan lang. Daluyan lang sa mga blessing to others. Ultimately, it is God and others. For me, how to define evangelism? It's very, very simple. Evangelism is like this. You hold the hand of Christ and you hold the hand of the sinners. And let Christ and the sinner meet. You are just like a broker. You are just a conduit. That is basically what is evangelism. God and man. And that is what we have. So, it is on love rather than external legality and external other focus than just self-focus. The Savior came to glorify the Father by the demonstration of His love. So the Spirit was to glorify Christ by revealing His grace to the whole world. The very image of God is to be reproduced in humanity. The honor of God, the honor of Christ is involved in the perfection of character of His people. Okay? So, we will be doing, we will be following that command, we will be doing everything. Maybe like I'll just use very often, principles for the glory of God. It's not even for us. It's not even for the perfection of the church. In fact, in this context, in Christ Object Lessons, page 369, it is basically in the context of evangelism. Because you will see that, I think if you will read through, again, let's get the context. Okay. For those of you who have done this already, so after that, 69, it is the privilege of every Christian not only to look for, but to hasten the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. Where all who profess His name bearing fruit to His glory, how quickly the world would be sown with the seed of the gospel. Quickly the last great harvest would be ripened, and Christ would come to gather the precious grain. If you will read the next paragraph of Christ Object Lesson, page 69, it is basically on the context of world evangelization. It is in the context of evangelism. It was not on the perfection of the church. Okay, our work is to strive to attain in our sphere of action the perfection that Christ in His life on the earth attained in every phase of character. He is our example. In all things we are to strive to honor God in character. Okay? So this is, I think the technical term for this is UDC, isn't it? Honoring God. The cold heart, Illinois, is to be quickened and glow with divine love. It is to beat in unison with the heart of the Redeemer. The honor of Christ must stand complete in the perfection of the character of His chosen people. He desires that they shall represent His character to the world. There are many who seem to feel that they have a great work to do themselves before they can come to Christ for His salvation. They lose sight of the fact that Christ Himself is the way, the truth, and the life. When we individually rest upon Christ with full assurance of faith, trusting alone to the efficacy of His blood to cleanse from all sin, what will be the result? We shall have peace in believing that what God has promised, He is able to perform. So is that enough? Yeah, He will do it for us. Amen? That means if we are in Christ, sometimes hindi pa tayo perfect, no? Or hindi pa. And I think I like the t-shirt when I saw something like this. Be patient with me. God is not finished with me yet. Nakatatak doon sa t-shirt. Be patient with me. God is not finished with me yet. And it could be that we should have that mindset also, even when we look at our brothers sometimes. Say with the Apostle Paul, I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. And the life which I now live in flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. Rest in God. He's able to keep that which you have committed to him. If you will leave yourself in his hands, he will bring you off more than conquerors through him that has loved you. Okay, steps to Christ. True sanctification comes through the working out of this principle of love. God is love, and he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in him. You know, daily, by the way, this is dying daily. Kasi yung ano natin, justification and then sanctification. Daily, kailangan yun daily. Many those striving to obey God's commandments have little peace or joy. Para bang, and I think I'll just look out at my own. I'm a third generation Adventist, by the way. But when I look at my experience before that, I really thought, ang struggle ba? Ang hirap ng struggle. And then at the age of 17, when I was a student missionary, doon sa Mountain View, doon sa Cagayan de Oro from Mountain View College, I read the Disciple of Ages, Christ Object Lessons, and that is when I saw the Lord that He is all important for me, sufficient for me. And then there is that joy, isn't it? Liberating joy. So talagang we can be assured of salvation because Christ died and has done it for us. Amen?
Amen.
And that is why we can live with joy, anticipating His salvation. Through sanctification, okay, the Lord would have all His sons and daughters happy and peaceful, and then obedient, of course. True sanctification means perfect love, perfect obedience, perfect conformity to the will of God. Of course, sabi, if we will sin, well, minsan talagang sa Bisaya pa, hugmok tayo because we probably have sinned, even in thought. But then we have Christ, okay, who can give us assurance that He can forgive our sins. Itong tingnan natin 10 commandments. Two grammatical tenses, imperative and descriptive, predictive. Ano ba daw ang ano dito implications? Kasi sa 10 commandments para bang imperative, command. But kung tingnan natin ito sa descriptive, predictive, it would be, because I am the Lord your God, I was the one who brought you out from Egypt, then you will not have no other gods before me. Because I am your God, then you will not have idol images. Because I am your God, you will not use my name in vain. May diferensya ba? Malaking diferensya, isn't it? Para bang, oh, you do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if we will have that relationship and say, because I am your God, para bang, ngayon, kasi husband mo na ako, you know, I will no longer look for another girl. Amen? It's a result of that relationship. And you will not do that. And I think this is how we'll look at the 10 Commandments. Because we are God's people, then this is now what we'll do. Not because it was strictly required as if it is, but it is because of a result of our relationship, our covenant with God. Amen? True religion will live its possessor unto perfection. Your thoughts, your words, and your actions, as well as your appetites and passions, must be brought into subjection to the will of God. You must bear fruit unto holiness. Then you will be led to defend the poor. So resulta lang pala yun. Because of our relationship, because of our perfection. Then the fatherless, the motherless, and the afflicted. You will do justice to the widow, and you will relieve the needy. You will deal justly, love mercy, and walk humbly before God. This is Ellen White, okay? Very, very clear. Because you have now a relationship with God, you're assured of that perfection, then you will do good works. Minsan, parang nami-miss ko yung, nandiyan ba yung noon sa inyong Sabbath school? Sa Bisaya, pagkaon na panghatag, taong natabangan. Nandiyan ba? Yun ba, may checklist ba noon? Sa 10 minutes? Ilan bang mga visit ang nagawa niyo? Ilan ba? Parang wala na yan ngayon. Bakit? Kasi sabi nila, ano daw yun? Righteousness by works. It was not righteousness by works. It should not have been righteousness by works. Kaya nga ngayon parang wala ng 10 minutes eh. Wala nang activities. Nawala na sa atin. By the way, when we look at the Seventh-day Adventist history in the Philippines, it is because it was very lay-led. Lay-led. Talagang 80% of those who have been baptized were because of the result of the work of the... Talagang ngayon wala na, no? Parang professionalized na lang sa mga pastor. In fact, when we read Elder Finster, for example, it's the brethren who will buy the books and then distribute it. Kung hindi pwede mabinta, talagang silang nag-distribute. Wala na ngayon. But you can see the joy. In fact, I think I personally, when I did this research, I cried during the war. There mga accounts nila during the war. It was nice. Okay. So the context of this, by the way, is Matthew chapter 5:48. Be ye therefore perfect. It's exactly this. Love your enemies, doing your good. So you see, if you look at Matthew 5:48 here, and then later on, doon sa Sermon on the Mount, the good works would come. Be ye therefore perfect, and then that will be manifested in your good works. So what a God is our God. He rules over His kingdom with diligence and care, and He has built ahead the Ten Commandments about His subjects to preserve them from the results of transgression. In fact, when we look at the Ten Commandments as a wall, para bang nag-protect sa atin, then that is basically, it's not imposition, but it is because of our protection, di ba? Para bang protection yan eh. Then that would be, we will look at this differently. So in inquiring obedience to the laws of His kingdom, God gives His people health and happiness, peace and joy. He teaches them that the perfection of character He requires can be attained only by becoming familiar with His word. This is Ellen White. Again, so this is very important, the word of God. I think I have about 8 minutes. So, what is the purpose of man? What is the chief end of man? This is a catechist, by the way, from the Middle East, is it? Man's chief end is to glorify God. And maybe you said, to enjoy Him forever. Amen. The proposed modification here is, man's chief end is to glorify God by enjoying Him forever. Worship that which is truly worthy brings greatest pleasure and joy. Di ba? You'd like to be with your wife or your husband, with your loved ones. And that is what should happen in worship, because we are enjoying Him. So, in worship, we should be enjoying God. Minsan parang na ano tayo doon sa mga Pentecostals, no? Kasi they seem to have that very existentialist relationship. Have you seen their songs? Maski, I love you, Lord, and para bang hindi. So, maski wala yung iba, I can be there. And maybe we should bring back that experience in our worship. So, if we understood that unity with God and the praise and worship connected with that is the highest human joy and pleasure, then perfect unity with God would be our greatest desire and longing and joy. And if you are united with God, you will never do things that would dishonor Him. Amen?
Amen.
You would not think, we had this illustration. Kung may mga bisita ka sa bahay, ang linis, kasi nandiyan yung mga bisita. You would like to, and that is because of that if God is with you, with us, sin is anything that disrupts this pathway of full joy, deepest pleasure, and most profound fellowship and worship. We were a holiness church. We were a holiness church, just like, and sometimes it comes back dito sa atin. I think you have heard about that wilderness movement sa Mindanao?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that we should be very holy, We will, hindi na nga sasakay ng jeepney galing sa baba. Kasi baka yung gasolina ginamit dyan ay galing daw sa mga companies na may mga shares ang Pope. Hindi na maggamit ng leather belt. kasi galing animal product yan. Maski shoes. And hindi na rin magbili ng bread on a Sunday morning. Baka yung bread na yan ay na-bake on Sabbath. And then of course there's nice, you know. Almost every hour my prayer doon sa kanilang. And then of course they were very strict vegetarians. The problem there is it's okay, pero talbos lang ng sayote at saka kamote, and that is why they had a problem. Maski yung government has to intervene because 50% of their children below the age of 5 will die of malnutrition. It was very external. It was, you know, and so we would view perfection as the last. We would, if you do this, okay, we do this. We would view perfection as the last generation theology differently if we understood complete victory over sin as the perfection of love, absence of fear, joy, fellowship, and true pleasures. And that is what I want. And that if this is the kind of people that we have, that is the final generation people that I would like to be part of. And I hope that this is the one that would be describing the Seventh-day Adventists. Paano ba? When I attended ditong, alam niyo yung movement nila ni Mrs. Lourdes Ramos diyan sa yung pagsimula pa lang nila diyan, nagmi-meeting kami doon sa pero ngayon Ortigas na doon pa sa Club Filipino when we started with the Club Filipino. Maganda yung pagsimula, no? Every time we have church there would be a catering service. Magpapakain sa amin. And I don't know, we were distributed around some of those people who were interested. Alam mo na sila ay mga mayayaman dito sa atin sa Pilipinas. And I sat with one man, I don't know, nahihiya rin ako na magtanong sa pangalan niya, but I was told that he's one of the rich here in the Philippines. He owned a lot. Sabi niya, kayo mga Adventist, you have all the message. Talagang lahat talaga nandiyan na sa inyo. Ang problema niyo lang ay you don't know how to market it. Marketing daw kasi I think he was a rich businessman. But I think that is what we should be proud. Because of this teaching, because of our understanding of this perfection, we should be a people, and that is why we market ourselves as what? The people of hope. The people of hope. Seventh-day Adventists, the people of hope. Hindi yung burden masyado na yung checklist na ito ay ito hindi pa ba nagawa. Baka mga Christians minsan sa ating mga seminars like this is almost all like what Jim Nick says, legalistic Christians. Pwede ba magsaing ng Sabbath? Pwede ba mag-sex on Sabbath? Pwede ba maligo? Pwede ba mag-toothbrush? And it was almost all on the what he calls legalistic Christians. But if we have this, Jesus Christ, and still we have to keep the Sabbath even very well, not because it is required for checklist, but it is because of our assurance, relationship with the Lord, and that we are perfect in Son. And then we will have this fruit of the Spirit. Okay? Galatians chapter 5. I think this is, we have exactly our time. May mga questions from may hapon daw. We will have this, but I thought that with this, we will have really the blessings of the Lord. Amen. Amen.